1. People can't carry what they didn't cause. Learn to carry it yourself. Everybody's got something: struggles, setbacks, storms, but don't mistake sympathy for strategy. Most people are carrying their own weight. Don't hand them yours too. Life didn't break you so others could fix you. It broke you to build you. Learn to lift what life dropped on you. 2. They'll listen, but they'll never understand, so stop expecting them to. You think by telling them everything, they'll finally get it, but they won't. They weren't there. They didn't cry your tears. They didn't bleed your pain, and they never will. The truth is, understanding is overrated. Healing don't come from being heard, it comes from being whole. 3. What you vent, they'll weaponize, so keep it to yourself and work it out in silence. You think you're venting. They think you're weak. What you call opening up, they call ammunition. Be careful who you talk to. The same people who pat your back might be the ones who whisper behind it. Real strength, that's when you cry in private, then show up like nothing ever touched you. 4. Use the pain as fuel, not as a story to tell. Everybody's got a story, but not everyone turns that story into power. Don't let your problems become your personality. Let them be your platform. Let them push you, not paralyze you. Don't tell people your problems, show them your progress. 1. Use the pain as fuel, not as a story to tell. Pain is real. It punches without warning, breaks without permission, and lingers longer than most people will ever understand. But while pain is inevitable, what you do with it, that's optional. That's where the transformation begins. Pain will either become your prison or your platform, your excuse or your energy. Life gives every person reasons to stop, sit down, and tell the world how hard it is. But the people who rise, the ones who break patterns, break limits, and break through, they take that pain and turn it into power. They use it as fuel. They stop telling the story and start writing a new one. The problem is, we're living in a culture that rewards the narrative more than the growth, where victimhood has become currency and telling your problem has become more popular than solving it. But no matter how many people you tell, the pain doesn't go away through talking. Healing doesn't come through applause or attention. Healing comes through action. You've got to stop rehearsing your suffering and start repurposing it, because pain doesn't leave when it's broadcasted, leaves when it's burned as fuel for progress. Look back on the times life hit you the hardest, the moments that shook you, scarred you, silenced you. Maybe you lost someone you loved. Maybe you were rejected, abandoned, overlooked, or underestimated. Maybe you hit rock bottom emotionally, financially, spiritually. The temptation in those seasons is to wrap yourself in the identity of what happened, to make the wound your headline, to become the narrator of your own misery. But that's not why pain shows up. It didn't come to define you, it came to develop you. The real question isn't, why did this happen? It's, what can I build with what's broken? Pain is potential in disguise. Every wound holds a weapon if you're willing to wield it. But first, you have to stop telling it like a tragedy and start treating it like training. Because the thing about fuel is it burns. And sometimes that burning is uncomfortable. It stings. It strips away comfort, ego, pride, and pretense. But it also generates energy. Fire produces forward motion. The same fire that threatened to consume you can now propel you. That betrayal, fuel. That setback, fuel. That heartbreak, humiliation, hardship, all fuel. If you stop telling the story and start using the sting, you'll turn suffering into strength. Every time you go through pain, you get a choice. Publish the pain or process it. Telling the story over and over might feel therapeutic, but too often, it becomes a treadmill running in place, never arriving. You rehash the same scenes, the same details, the same tears, and what you rehearse, you reinforce. What you repeat, you relive. Talking about it doesn't heal it if all you're doing is narrating defeat. At some point, you've got to choose silence over sympathy. Not because you're ashamed of the pain, but because you've decided it doesn't deserve to lead anymore. Let the results do the talking. Let your improvement be the message. Pain should not be your pitch, it should be your power source. When you show people how you moved forward, not just what you went through, that's where inspiration lives. That's where legacy begins. Not in the hurt, but in the harvest, in the transformation. Because anybody can go through pain, but not everybody grows from it. You grow when you stop asking the pain to make sense and instead ask yourself, how do I make this matter? That's the shift. That's when you stop trying to control what hurt you and start creating something bigger from it. That's when you stop looking for someone to blame and start becoming someone to build. You stop looking backward and start moving forward with intention, with intensity, and with discipline. Fuel doesn't just sit, it moves, it activates, it ignites. When you're using pain as fuel, your focus changes. You stop needing validation. You stop needing people to understand. You stop waiting for an apology, for closure, for circumstances to change. You become your own source of forward motion. The pain doesn't go away instantly, but now it's got a purpose. It's powering your mindset, your habits, your vision. It's pushing you to level up when everything in you wants to give up. And that's where the magic is, not in escaping pain, but in extracting power from it. There's a difference between pain and suffering. Pain is what happens. Suffering is the story you tell yourself about it. And when you keep retelling that story, how bad it was, how unfair it was, how heavy it is, you trap yourself in a cycle. You build a prison with your own words. But when you decide to stop talking and start building, you unlock something that can't be taken away. You gain grit, you gain resilience, you gain a fire that doesn't flicker every time the wind of life blows. You gain endurance, and that endurance produces character. That character builds capacity, and that capacity, that's where you find destiny. You don't have to prove your pain to anyone. You don't have to document every dark moment or broadcast every breakdown. Your strength isn't measured by how loud you cry, it's measured by how quietly you climb. When no one's watching, when no one's clapping, when it's just you and the weight of your world, you still rise, you still move, you still build. That's what separates growth from attention. Growth is silent, it's sacred, it's slow, but it's unstoppable when fueled by pain. You can't always avoid pain, but you can always choose your posture. You can bend without breaking. You can bleed without becoming bitter. You can burn without being buried. But it all depends on whether you choose to use the pain or keep telling it. The world doesn't need another tragic story, it needs evidence of transformation. It needs people who don't just talk about scars, but walk with strength. People who turn their trials into tools, their pain into progress, their hurt into hope. This doesn't mean you deny what happened. It means you don't give it the microphone. You honor your story by evolving beyond it. You let the pain mark you, not manage you. You acknowledge it, but you don't anchor in it, because you've got places to go, levels to reach, battles to win, and none of that will happen if you're still narrating a past that can't be changed. So how do you use pain as fuel? First, you stop blaming. You take back the power you gave to what hurt you. You stop saying, "They ruined me," and start saying, "I'm rebuilding me." Then, you identify what that pain taught you. Maybe it showed you your strength. Maybe it exposed your blind spots. Maybe it introduced you to your mission. Whatever it did, it gave you something. Take that and move with it, build with it, grind with it. Let it shape how you think, how you lead, how you love, how you show up. Second, create a vision big enough to require your pain. Don't waste it. Use it. Channel it. Let the fire of what tried to break you fuel the foundation of what you're building. Make moves that make the pain matter. If it humbled you, let it lead you. If it sharpened you, let it serve you. Don't just survive it, steward it. Because every ounce of pain contains wisdom, strategy, and strength that comfort could never teach you. And third, protect your energy. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your journey. If they didn't show up to carry the cross, they don't get to celebrate the crown. Keep your process private. Let your progress be public. When you're using pain as fuel, you'll move different, quieter, sharper, stronger. Because you're not out here performing for applause, you're pursuing purpose. And that pursuit doesn't need a stage. It needs stamina. It needs focus. It needs the kind of internal fire that only pain can produce. You'll notice something powerful once you start doing this. The same people you used to want to impress with your story, you'll outgrow that need, because now you're too busy creating impact to need attention. You're too consumed with legacy to care about likes. You've transcended the trap of performance, because your identity isn't in the wound, it's in the work. Eventually, your results will speak louder than any story ever could. People won't remember what hurt you. They'll remember how you responded. They'll remember the way you rose. The way you kept building when the blueprint was shredded. The way you kept walking when the road disappeared. The way you showed up with a fire in your eyes and a purpose in your step that made no sense based on what you'd been through. That's the real story. That's what becomes your message, what happened to you, but what happened through you. So stop waiting for the pain to disappear before you move. Move with it. Move through it. Let it ride shotgun, but never give it the wheel. It can inform you, but it can't lead you. You've got too much to build, too much to become, too much to offer. Pain is the price of entry to purpose. And if you use it right, it'll take you further than comfort ever could. Because at the end of the day, the world doesn't need more people telling their problems. It needs more people solving them, more people transforming them, more people using the weight of what crushed them as the foundation for what carries others. That's how movements begin. Not with microphones, but with motion. With people who stopped talking and started rising. People who stopped seeking sympathy and started seeking strategy. People who learned the art of silent strength. People who turned their wounds into weapons. People who used the pain as fuel. 2. You're not behind, you're being built. In a world that moves at the speed of a scroll, it's easy to feel behind. Behind in your career, behind in your finances, behind in your healing, behind in your purpose. You see others post highlight reels and think their progress means your delay is a failure. But what if you're not behind? What if you're being built? What if your process is not punishment, but preparation? There's something sacred about the slow seasons, the ones where nothing seems to move, where doors don't open, where prayers echo like silence, where everything feels paused while life moves on without you. In those seasons, you're tempted to compare, you're tempted to complain, you're tempted to quit. But that quiet season isn't wasted time, it's workshop time. It's the construction zone for character, vision, and discipline. You are not behind, you are under construction. It's dangerous to judge your development by someone else's deadline. People may start earlier, but that doesn't mean they'll finish stronger. You may not be where you want to be, but that doesn't mean you're not exactly where you need to be. What you think is delay might be divine design. The longer it takes, the deeper the foundation. The deeper the foundation, the higher the future. You don't want quick success, you want lasting strength. And that strength is built in the shadows, not the spotlight. Think about a skyscraper. Before anyone sees the height, they dig deep. It doesn't look impressive. It's messy, slow, and hidden underground. But that depth is what holds the height. Without it, the whole thing crumbles at the first storm. Your life is no different. If you're being stretched, pressed, hidden, or tested, it's because something heavy is coming, and you're being built to carry it. Too often, people measure success by visibility, but progress doesn't always post well. The most important growth happens in silence, discipline in the dark, choices no one sees, sacrifices no one applauds. You're laying bricks while they're broadcasting. You're breaking cycles while they're collecting likes. You're building a foundation while others are painting a facade. And that's okay, because when the spotlight fades, only what's solid remains. You're not behind because you're healing slower than someone else. Healing is not a race. Growth is not a timeline. Maturity is not a trend. It's deeply personal, incredibly complex, and absolutely vital. You might still be working through trauma others have ignored. You might be facing fears others have buried. You might be processing betrayal, failure, or loss with a depth others don't understand. But healing isn't linear, Rand. It doesn't have to be loud. Just because no one sees it doesn't mean it's not happening. You are rebuilding, you are rewiring, you are rising. You're not behind because you haven't launched your dream yet. Greatness takes time. The deeper the calling, the more deliberate the carving. You're being shaped, sharpened, stripped of pride, ego, insecurity, and immaturity. Because where you're going requires clarity, courage, and consistency. You don't want to arrive unprepared. You don't want to lead with a limp you haven't healed. You don't want to carry influence with a character that can't handle it. So if it's taking longer, thank the delay. The delay is discipline in disguise. Stop judging your journey by surface metrics. Stop comparing your pace to people who are not carrying your weight. Stop letting the timelines of culture make you feel late. You are not late, you're in process. And that process is preparing you for something pressure alone can't produce. Let patience do its work. Let the silence strengthen your stamina. Let the hidden season build your hunger. There's a reason seeds grow underground. You don't dig them up to check progress. You water them, you wait, you trust the process. That's how faith works. You plant purpose in the dark, and you trust that one day it's going to break through, but you've got to stay planted. You've got to resist the urge to uproot just because you don't see fruit yet. You've got to stay grounded when it feels like nothing is growing. That's the test. That's the building. Being built is uncomfortable. It's humbling. It exposes what's weak, immature, and unfinished. But it's necessary, because pressure reveals what performance hides. And you want to be the kind of person who stands strong when the applause fades, when the struggle hits, when the storms come. That strength can't be faked. It can't be borrowed. It can only be built. Sometimes you're not being delayed, you're being delivered. Delivered from things that would have destroyed you if you got what you asked for too soon. You think you're ready, but only the process knows what you still need to learn. You think you're strong, but only the weight will show what you're really made of. The weight is not punishment, it's protection. The struggle is not a setback, it's strength training. You're not being overlooked, you're being overseen. Just because people don't see your effort doesn't mean it's wasted. Just because opportunities aren't showing up doesn't mean preparation isn't. What's coming has weight. And weight requires muscle. So every rep, every tear, every prayer, every step counts. Even if no one's clapping, even if nothing's changing, even if everything's hard, it still counts. You're being built in the battle. When you're in the middle of the process, it won't feel like progress. It'll feel like failure, like frustration, like confusion. But don't trust your feelings over your future. Don't trust the moment more than the mission. Just because you don't see the full picture yet doesn't mean the masterpiece isn't forming. Blueprints never look like buildings. Raw materials never look like masterpieces. But in the hands of a builder, everything has purpose. You are not behind. You are being carved for something bigger than convenience, bigger than applause, bigger than short-term gains. You're being shaped to carry vision, to build legacy, to break generational limits, to carry truth into places where compromise is normal, to speak light into rooms that have only known shadows. You weren't made to rush, you were made to rise. So if it's quiet, keep building. If it's slow, keep sowing. If it's painful, keep pressing. Because every delay has a design, every wilderness has a word, every drought builds discipline, and every hidden place eventually produces fruit. You don't need more time, you need more trust. Trust that your path is not broken, it's being built. Trust that your delay is not a disqualification, it's a divine detour. Trust that your journey is not behind, it's being perfectly prepared for something only you can carry. The question is not, how fast can I get there? It's, how strong will I be when I arrive? Because getting there isn't the goal, becoming is. Becoming someone who can handle it, who can protect it, who can lead with wisdom and love, not ego and need, who doesn't crumble under pressure or fold under fear. That kind of becoming. It takes time, it takes tears, it takes truth, and it takes building. So release the timeline, drop the comparison, forget the shortcuts. None of that builds legacy. Show up in the silence, keep working in the wait, keep moving when no one's noticing. Keep believing when nothing's blooming, because the foundation you're laying today is the future you'll stand on tomorrow. You're not behind, you're being built. And when the time is right, you won't have to force it, fake it, or fabricate it. It'll flow. Because it'll be the fruit of everything you've been building in silence. 3, you can't heal what you won't face. There comes a time in your life when pretending stops working, when smiling through the storm stops soothing the pain, when numbing the wound only keeps you bleeding. At some point, strength is no longer about how much you can suppress, it's about how much you're willing to face. Because you can't heal what you won't confront. You can't be whole while hiding the broken. You can't walk in freedom while dragging chains you refuse to acknowledge. Too many people are walking around with invisible injuries, smiling outside, shattered inside, functioning on the surface while bleeding beneath the layers. Carrying trauma like a badge of honor, but refusing to trace its origin. We've been taught to suppress, to keep it together, to move on, without dealing with what's really wrong. But healing doesn't happen through avoidance. It happens through exposure. What you bury alive doesn't die, it multiplies. It festers. It seeps into your decisions, your relationships, your future. Until one day, you mistake dysfunction for destiny and wonder why everything feels heavy. Facing your pain doesn't make you weak, it makes you wise. It takes more courage to sit with your truth than to run from it. To look at the wound and ask, where did this come from? To sit in silence and let the ache speak. That ache is not your enemy, it's your alarm. It's trying to alert you to something deeper. Maybe it's the betrayal you never dealt with, the abandonment you still carry, the shame you keep stuffing down, the identity you shaped around survival instead of self-worth. That ache has a voice. And if you keep silencing it, you silence your own freedom. It's not about living in your pain, it's about learning from it. Pain is a professor, and it will teach you what you're willing to sit with. Pain will show you who you really are when you stop performing. It will point to the places you've avoided, the lies you've believed, the habits you've formed to cope instead of conquer. But you've got to be willing to enter the classroom. Healing is not a performance, it's a process. And that process gets messy before it gets meaningful. You can't change what you won't name. You can't grow past what you pretend doesn't exist. So if you feel stuck, it might not be the season, it might be the silence around your story, the silence around your truth, the silence around what really happened. Healing starts with honesty, and sometimes that honesty hurts. Sometimes it means admitting, that broke me more than I let on, or I haven't been okay for a long time, or I've built an entire life trying to prove I'm not what they said I was. That honesty opens the door. And once the door is open, healing can begin. But it won't be quick, it won't be clean, it won't be linear. Healing rarely moves in straight lines, it zigzags. It loops back, it relapses. Some days you'll feel powerful, and some days you'll feel paralyzed. That's normal. That's part of it. Don't judge the progress by the pace. Don't compare your healing to someone else's highlight reel. What they post doesn't reflect what they process. Healing is personal, it's sacred, and it's yours to pursue. The hardest part is sitting still long enough to let the pain speak. That's why so many people stay busy. Busy is the new drug. If I can keep moving, I won't have to feel. If I can keep achieving, I won't have to deal. But motion doesn't mean healing. Distraction is not deliverance. Sometimes you have to stop running so you can start recovering. Sometimes you have to stop hiding so you can start healing. You've been surviving, but it's time to start living. And living means facing. Facing the truth you've avoided, the patterns you've excused, the people you've blamed, the memories you've blurred. This isn't about guilt, it's about growth. You are not responsible for what happened to you, but you are responsible for how you heal from it. And healing is not about revenge. It's not about proving a point. It's about reclaiming your peace. Unhealed pain makes you reactive instead of responsive. You start building walls instead of bridges. You expect abandonment, so you sabotage connection. You expect betrayal, so you control everything. You expect loss, so you never let yourself love deeply. But that's not protection, that's prison. And healing is the key. Not just healing the wound, but healing the way you see yourself because of the wound. There's a version of you that exists on the other side of honesty. A version that's free from pretending, free from performance, free from the pressure to be perfect while privately falling apart. That version is waiting, but you can't access that future while protecting the past. You've got to release it. And releasing doesn't mean forgetting, it means forgiving. Not for them, for you. Not because they deserve peace, but because you do. Forgiveness doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make what they did right. It just means you're done carrying it. Done carrying the weight of resentment. Done letting bitterness be your comfort. Done letting the past have power over your present. Forgiveness is how you reclaim your future. But you can't forgive what you refuse to face, and you can't heal what you won't name. Start naming the pain. Name the lie. Name the root. Name the behavior. Name the belief that keeps you bound. When you bring it to light, it starts to lose power. When you stop hiding it, it stops holding you. That's when the healing begins. When the secret becomes a story. When the shame becomes strength. When the fear becomes fuel. That's the power of facing it. People might not understand your process. That's okay. They didn't see the pain, so they don't get to define your pace. Healing is not for their approval, it's for your alignment. You're not doing this to look good. You're doing this to live well, to be whole, to be healthy, to be free. You might have inherited dysfunction, but you don't have to repeat it. You might have endured trauma, but you don't have to be defined by it. You get to write a new story, but only if you're willing to face the old one. You get to break cycles, but only if you're willing to confront patterns. You get to live healed, but only if you stop hiding the hurt. Don't let the past rob you of peace. Don't let fear of facing it keep you from freedom. The pain may be deep, but healing goes deeper. The shame may be loud, but truth speaks louder. You were never meant to carry this forever. You were meant to face it, name it, own it, heal it, and then rise above it. You are not your trauma. You are not your past. You are not the wound. You are the warrior that walked through it. But warriors don't win by avoiding the battle, they win by facing it. And this battle isn't against others, it's against silence, shame, and self-abandonment. You're fighting to believe you matter enough to heal, that you're worth the work, that your story is worth rewriting. Don't wait for the pain to disappear. It won't to it. You have to walk into it. You have to lean into the discomfort. Healing is not passive. It's intentional. It's hard. It's holy. It's human. And every time you face it, you take your power back. Every time you tell the truth, you take your identity back. Every time you lean in instead of run away, you take your future back. No more hiding. No more suppressing. No more hoping. Time will do what only truth can. Time doesn't heal, truth does. Honesty does. Confrontation does. Courage does. And you have all of that inside you. You don't need to be perfect to be whole. You just need to be honest. It's time to face it. Time to heal it. Time to become who you were before the wound. And then beyond that. Because healing doesn't just restore what was lost, it reveals what was buried. There's purpose in your pain. There's wisdom in your wounds. But you can't access it if you're still hiding from it. So step into the fire not to be burned, but to be refined. Step into the mirror not to judge, but to see clearly. Step into the truth not to condemn, but to be set free. Because the moment you face it is the moment you start healing. And the moment you start healing is the moment everything changes.